All right, everyone, welcome to this week's presentation from DBA Fundamentals, Python for SQL Server DBAs and developers. Today we have Gene Joseph talking to us all this goodness. Today is, as it shows on the screen, March 15th, 2022. And the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see the three leaders of the DBA Fundamentals group, Steve Cantrell, Shane O'Neill, and myself, Kevin Wilkie. To the right of our names there, you'll see our Twitter handles. If you have any need to get hold of us, that's the way to reach us. As always, you can reach DBA Fundamentals at DBA Fund, as it shows right beneath that on the screen. Right below our names, also you'll see our different forms. You can reach us on social media. You can reach us on Meetup, which is where most of you probably will got this this connection to our presentations, or at least went through there. If you're not on there, please make sure to connect with us on there, because that is one great way to actually see all of our next presentations. Also below that is our website, dbafund.org. That actually is one of the best ways to get hold of us, period, because that is where you'll actually find our past presentations as well as any of our upcoming presentations. Below that is our form of YouTube, dbafundtube.com, where you can actually see all of our past presentations. With that, make sure to actually subscribe to us on there so that you'll get all of the presentations when they become available, which, as we all know, is a good thing. Below that, you'll see various other ways to get hold of us on Twitter, Slack, and on LinkedIn. We try to keep conversations going on there as much as we can. And with that, we go to our next screen. Today's session is being recorded and usually will be available within 1 to 2 days. Make sure to check us out on dbafundtube.com, where you will get this presentation. And like I said earlier, if you subscribe, you'll know right when it goes out there. Also, please be sure to turn off your camera and mute yourself so that you won't interrupt our speaker, and it won't get in the way of other people as they listen to this wonderful presentation. Also, if you have any questions, please be sure to put it into the chat window itself. And with that, we go to Gene Joseph. Gene, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and it's an honor.
Yes, build puzzle. And there's only about.
Can you guys put yourself on mute, if you don't mind? Yep, I'm about to share my screen.
Temos plano.
It's a little bit slow for mine. Just give me a second. Yeah. Can you let me know if you're able to see my screen?
It's there. Yes, I see Teams.
Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you all, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to have you connect with us, right? And welcome to DBA Fundamentals User Group. Kevin, thanks for the opportunity. As you guys know, today I will show you all the cool stuff, right? What you need to know for you as a SQL DBA or developer to be able to master Python. Who am I? I am Jean-Joseph, right? I'm a data engineer, Microsoft MVP, and a data community builder. So for those who don't know me, I'm the founder and the main organizer of data-driven community. In the data-driven community, we have cloud data-driven, feature data-driven, IT management, and leadership. Actually, Kevin is one of our organizers. I've been in IT for over 18 years. I'm based out of New Jersey, but originally from Haiti. I love eating. As you can see, these are my 4 kids. Yeah, fishing, listening to audiobooks, movies. In case if you guys want to connect with my data community, feel free to scan it, right? And then if you want to connect with me, you are free to scan this. And then you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you are free to do this. Without further ado, let's dive into our main topic. Okay, so this presentation is 99% of demo, just for your information. Yeah. So what is Python, guys? Python is the most popular programming languages. So it is created by Guido Von and released in 1991, correct? What can you do with Python, guys? You can do a lot with Python. Python allows you to create a web application alongside with software to create like workflow. And also it gives you access to connect to database and maintain your file system as well. And then with Python, it's much easier to deal with big data and perform complex mathematical operations, right? And then what I like about Python, it is very useful when it comes to rapid prototyping or production-ready software development. Why do you need Python, guys? Python is a multi-course platform, right? And then it is easy. The syntax is so easy. It's like you speaking plain English, correct? And then it runs on an interpreter system. So what I mean by, as soon as you created your code is ready to be executed, right? So in case, if you want to know how can you create, call a Python, for example, file, that's how you can call it once you open, for example, command line shell. So here's the thing. Every time when we're learning a language, the first thing we want to do is to point hello world. Let's say if you want to point hello world, this is what you're gonna do, right? And then if you want to comment, this is how you can comment, as you can see, and this will not point out, correct? Great. So let's say for this allow you to comment line by line. This is just a single line, but if you want to comment something like that, instead of you use multiple hash, you could have used 3 single double quotes, which will give you access, you know, to comment. If you want to comment multiple lines. So now, guys, we are going to good stuff, right? So when we're looking at variables in Python are containers for storing data value. And Python, for example, has no command for declaring a variable. In SQL Server, if we have to declare a variable, we have to type with the keyword declare. In Python, you don't need that. A variable is created the moment you first assign a value to it. But here's the thing, we are data guy, right? Why do we need Python? Why should we care about Python? Remember, SQL will allow you to retrieve data, manipulate data. Can you guys put you on mute? SQL will allow you, for example, to manipulate relational data. You understand? But Python,
Shane, you're on mute now as well for some reason.
for how long I was on mute, huh, Kevin?
Maybe 15, 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Okay, so should I start from here?
Yeah, let's go over that one again.
Yep. So if you want, for example, to comment using multiple lines, this is the way to go. You have to use 3, for example, double quotation. As you can see, if I execute this, you can see this line will skip it. So when it comes to variable are containers for storing value, right? And Python have no command for declaring a variable. In SQL, you have to type the keyword declare, right? Whereas in Python, as soon as you assign a variable into a variable, so guess what happened? You declare it. But in Python, there's something called variable naming conventions. You know, some people love camel cases, as you can see here. This is a camel cases, and some people love Pascal case, as you can see here, and some people love snake cases. This is the one that most likely being used, right? So, but for me, I love this one. Do you understand? I can clearly see, you know, that's the way I normally go, but most people normally use this one. So this is just for your information, because there's no keyword to declare a variable. If you don't follow the naming convention, trust me, it's gonna be very hard for you to debug your code, especially if you are a learner. So if you are a learner, I would highly suggest you to get used to one of these naming conventions for you to make your life easy when it comes to debugging part. So note that Python is a dynamic type language. Variable do not need to declare, as I just said, with any particular type. So this means it is not necessary to declare the type of a variable when assigning a value into it, and can even change. Do you understand? So that's mean you don't need to worry me about the data type as a beginner, okay? However, the data type matter because Python is object oriented. So that's when you're dealing with object. So if you do not maintain your data type, even though you're writing a very simple process, it may take a lot of memory. As a beginner level, you don't need to worry about that. However, even though Python doesn't care about the data type, that doesn't mean Python does not really care behind the scene. And I'm about to show you. I have a very simple example. If you're looking at this one, Python, if you're looking at this is int, my variable, this is string, my variable. When I type, for me to get the value, this is what I'm doing. And for me to get the type, I ask Python to point type, right? Point will allow you to display the value. If you're looking at, this is from my variable, and then this is for type. If I execute this, you will clearly see the first one is int, the second one is string, as you can see. And then, so as soon as we assign a variable, but guess what happened? Where it may get a little bit tricky, if you're looking at this is 42, see, as you can see, variable can even change type after they have been set. For example, even though if you assign a value, that doesn't mean you cannot change it. If you're looking at here, this is my variable 42, and I look at the type here, and this is the same variable name, and I pull it down, this is a string, and I want to point the value, and also I want to point the type. If I execute this one, guess what happened? The same variable, okay? So the reason why I have it this way, just to have you pay attention as a beginner, not, for example, to minimize the value of naming convention and the data type, because this is very matter. And then if you're looking at here, let's go for this one, okay? If we go for this one, you can clearly see, for example, this is my variable 1, and then this is my variable 2, and then this is a concatenation. So what I'm trying to do there, you can clearly see this is fair. Why this is fair, guys? Because this is int, and then this is string. So up here, okay, just pay close attention with me. Up here, I change the same variable name. If I put this, that's the same variable name. But here, if you're looking at here, it is one variable, and then this is a second variable. So that's mean the type, very important, guys. The type doesn't really matter if you're dealing with a single variable, you can change it. But when it comes to concatenation, the type, the data type does matter. So when you're dealing with two different sets of the data, of course, Python does care about what we call data type. If we're looking at here, this is 42. This is a string, okay? And then I'm converting this to string, and I'm converting this to float, right? What I'm trying to do is to point the value for each one of them, and I'm checking the type. If you're looking at here, you're gonna see 3 types. It is the same data here, and then this is the second one, and then this is the third one, which is float, okay? And then this is, as you can see, this is the string. Great. Okay, guess what happened if another thing, beginner, for example, minimize, and it's hard for them to troubleshoot as well, is what we call case sensitive. Okay, so what I mean by case sensitive, let me give you, okay, what I mean by case sensitive is that if we're looking at this variable is the same. The only difference is this is lowercase, this is uppercase, right? If I point this variable, you might think they are the same, but because Python is case sensitive, you will see there is 2 different results set. This value did not override this one. You still get the same. So you have to understand, for you to use your variable, it has to be the same. The way you first wrote it, you have to keep the same thing. So that's why you need a very smart editor to work with Python, to write your Python code. And then when it comes to single or double quotation, it is still the same. As you can see, this is a variable name, okay? And then this is variable name. Both of them will get you what you want, right? However, if you want to do kind of, you know, I have example where you're going to see some of them, you know, look kind of different. Okay, but they are still the same, right? So for variable assignment, you can assign variable. For example, if you want to assign multiple variable together, this is how you should do it. As you can see, I put variable 1 x, comma, y, comma, z, comma, and I put this in order. If I point this, you will clearly see I got the data that I need. Great. And if you wanna, for example, assign one value to multiple variable, that's how you can do it. You say x equal to y equal to z, and then all 3 variables will get the same value. Great. And then when it comes, for example, to output variable and concatenation, you have to think of point statement. This is what we've been using. Do you understand? And then to combine both text and variable, you have to use plus, which is, you know, kind of similar. So if we're looking at here, as you can see, this is awesome. This is the variable. And I said Python is awesome. What I'm trying to do is concatenate my variable to this string. If I point this guy, you can clearly see Python is awesome. Great. So if we looking at this variable, you could have stored this into a variable. Okay. So to store this into a variable, you just have to declare this. If you want, you can assign another variable to hold that value for you, as I'm doing this here. If I hold this, so you can clearly see Python is awesome. You know, just for fun, I'm trying to show you this. If you want to do some, you know, mathematical operation, you want to, like, for example, x is equal to 5, y is equal to 10. If you want to plus them, you get, this is what you get. But here's what happened. This is one way, and I want to show you where the data type matter. Because you're dealing with 2 different variables, you have to think of data type. You cannot concatenate this way. If I try to point this, it will fail, guys. And then even though if you Google it, you may get wrong information. But if you know, people, Google may smartly enough to realize it is related to implicit conversion. So the best way to do this, for example, I'm having, you know, the best way to do this is to uncomment this and execute this. You will get what you want. As you can see, 5 and this and John. So now, before we go to fun stuff regarding, for example, formatting, how can you load data to SQL Server? How can you read data from SQL Server? I want to, you know, go to formatting with you. Formatting is that sometimes if you want to, what would I say? Formatting, we can compare this just like what we call SQL format functions in SQL Server. Let's say for example, there's 2 ways you can format, right? Which I have this. Format allow you to format the selected part as a string, right? And then you can control the placeholder. In our case, we're using the curly bracket, right? So that's mean this will hold any variable you pass. If you're looking at this price, it's gonna go to this one straight. If you're looking at this, should be the price is $49. If I execute this, you can clearly see the price is $49, right? So for this one, you can add multiple parameters. If you have multiple parameters, you can do that. For example, if you, if I want to know, I want, for example, 3 pieces of item number. For example, this is this one, and then this is the price. This is just one example that I have seen. You may be doing something kind of complex and you want to output some message, or you want to do, you know, you want to display some message. In case if you have more than one parameter, that's how you can do it. If we're looking at here, you can clearly see, for example, the first one, which is quantity, it was 3, and the second one, which is item number, was 567, and the last one, which was price, was 49, as you can see. And then you can clearly see, for example, how would you do it if you have multiple parameters that you need to pass, right? And then you can use index number as well, right? Inside your curly brackets. Let's say if you're dealing with kind of complex processes where you want to index them to maintain them yourself, you can do that. If you're looking at here, I said I want 3 and I want 1, which will be this guy, and I want 2, which will be this guy. Okay, if I execute this one, it will get me the same thing. Give me 1 second. Okay, if you're looking at here, I got, for example, I want 3 pieces of item number, this guy, and for $49, as you can see. That was just the basic, guys. The basic is just, these are the basic information you will need for you to do any kind of operations. If you don't have that basic, you can still work in Python, but troubleshoot your code might be a little bit tricky, and people who already put their hands on Python know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I started very basic. But in reality, for us as a SQL developer or database administrator, we have to think of cool stuff. What I mean by cool stuff? In Python, there are a tons of built-in data type, right? We have text, numeric, sequence, mapping, set, Boolean, and binary. Okay. So in our case, we need to focus on lists, okay, because this presentation will be mainly focused on lists, tuple, set, dictionary, and range. If you guys can have a basic understanding of these 5 data type or type of functions, right? I guarantee you it's gonna be kind of impossible for you not to be able to do your work if you have to deal with kind of big data or anything that is outside of SQL Server, and you have to go and do data manipulation using Panda to push that data to SQL Server. The only thing I'm telling you, we're gonna focus on these 5, and then if you can maintain these 5, trust me, it's gonna be hard for you not to go very advanced, right? But these are collection array, right? There are 4 collection data type in Python. We have list. List is a collection which is ordered and changeable. Allow duplicate numbers. For example, if your data have duplicate records, and if you want to change the order and you want to change the content within your array, you have to think of list. Tuple is a collection which is ordered, but you cannot change it. If you want your data to be constant, and then you don't want to change it, you have to think of tuple. And tuple allow duplication, right? Set is a collection which is on order, unchangeable, and unindexed, and it does not allow any duplicate. Once you set it, you cannot change it, but you can remove or add item whenever you like. For example, if you want your data to be constant, right, and you don't care about the order, you don't want nobody to go and know the process to go and change it, so you should think of a set. Dictionary is a collection which is ordered and changeable, but it does not allow any duplicate records. However, in Python 3.7, dictionary are ordered, just for your information. So once you're choosing any kind of collection type, it is very important to understand what I just mentioned. If the data has duplicate and you didn't know, you select, for example, dictionary, your process will fail. So understanding the properties of the data type will make your life much easier instead of spending time to go on the internet searching for the error message, whereas dictionary does not allow, for example, duplicate. So let's do some exercise when it comes to lists. Lists are very useful to store multiple items in a single variable, right? So lists are ordered, like I just said, you can change and it's allowed duplicate, and then lists are indexes. So you can retrieve the data, remove the data, add the data using the index, right? Note, you can even use negative index to change the direction. Let's say if you want to select the data from the beginning, you have to think of 0 as index. If you have to get a portion of the data, at the end, you have to think of negative numbers. Yeah, so, and then it is changeable. So meaning you can add and remove, right? And then this is not, there's 2 ways you can mention list. You can either mention, put it inside the bracket like that, or you can just type list and, for example, the same way that I mentioned it here. Okay, so if we're looking at here, you can clearly see, for example, it is written on array. This is the data, and then the class is list. It's allowed duplicate. If you're looking at, we have cherry and cherry here. So if I go and select this one, I got both of them here, right? So it's allow you to determine how many items. If you want to know how many items, you can use length functions to do that. You can see we have 3 items. Okay. And then list can also be any of data type. For example, if you're looking at, I have 1, these are numbers, these are Boolean, and these are string. if I go and this is a combination of them. So it doesn't matter of the data type when you're dealing with this, as you can see, and it didn't fail. So it's also possible to use list constructor when creating a new list. Some people love it this way, as you can see, and some people love it this way. If you see this, label this as a list. If you see this as well, that way it is still list. So if we point this one, you still get the same, correct, as you can see. And then what would I say? You can, let's say if I want to go with the cherry, okay, I can use negative number. If you're looking at here, I can see this is a format cherry, banana, and apple. And if I only want, for example, cherry, which is the first one, as you can see, right? I can start from the negative number. And then what I like about this one is that you can skip a portion of them, because let's start with 0. You can see this is 0, 1, 2. Okay, so that's mean I'm gonna have cherry, and this is 0, 1, 2. That's cherry. 3, 4, and I will not get 5. Just for your information. So when you see 5 in Python, it will not reach to 5. It will give me cherry, orange, and kiwi. Just for your information. So if we're looking at here, it didn't reach to index 5, because index 5 was the starting point. So stopping point. So it will not reach to that, just for your information. So, yep, if you want melon to be displayed, you will need to increase this. So once you increase it, and then guess what happened? You have melon. Okay. So what else I can say? There's a tons of demo I have to do. If we're looking at for list also, if I want 0 all the way to 4, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's when I will not get kiwi. So that's if I want from everything all the way to orange, and I do not want kiwi, that's how you have to return your code. Okay, as you can see, we don't have kiwi. So if you want from 2 all the way to the end, this is 0, 1, 2. So that's when it's gonna start from cherry all the way to the end. If we're looking at here, we got cherry. So yep, it's the same thing. You can do the minus as well. So we don't have time. I don't want to do all the demo. And then if you want, you can do logic. You can check if, for example, Apple exists within your list. Let's say if you want to check if Apple exists, as you can see, all I'm doing, if Apple is in that list. So if Apple exists, there will be yes, return. Yes, Apple is in the field list. If you're looking at here, we have Apple. Yes, we have Apple. If I misspell it like this and I print, there will be no data return. So that's when you can check to see if one of them is exists. And then you can also, for example, change the second item. For example, if you want to change it, you if I want to add black current, and I want black current to be to take place of index 1, that's how you should do it. If you're looking at here, you're gonna clearly see, for example, black current replace banana, as you can see, in case if you want to change it. In this example, these are I'm going to share this guy, and it's already 40 minutes. There's a tons of things we have to do. Let me go to you can this is going to be this is very important. You can, for example, extend it. For if you're looking at here, this is 2 lists. If I want to extend both of them, I'm using the extend keyword. As you can see, it will become one list, right? And then if you want to add one, you can add one more, right? And then what else I would say? Okay, and if you want to remove banana, that's how you have to. This is your list, and then you put this is the keyword is remove. You remove the banana, and then let's say if you want, for example, remove the last one, you can pop it. For example, if you don't care about the last one, you can just pop it. It's the same thing. You could have remove minus one. That would be the same as well. And then if you want to delete, for example, Apple, you can just delete Apple like that. If you're looking at, we remove Apple and then banana become one. What else? And if you want to clear, for example, your list, that's the way you can clean it. But guess what happened? If you want to delete the entire list, that's what you're gonna do. But check this out. If you're looking at here, and then if I try to clean here, guess what happened? The cleaning just empty the content, just for information, but just delete the entire thing. For tuples is the same rule, guys. If you want to point this tuple, right? As you can see, this is banana. This is kind of the same thing, and we don't have time. So if you want to check the length, I will share this as a demo. You guys can play with it. And then if we're looking at here, it's accept, for example, all kind of data type. And then if you want to check the data type, you can clearly see this is a tuple class. Okay. If you want, for example, to point the second item, which is banana, as you can see, we can point the second item. What else? And then if you want to display, for example, cherry, we can use -1. And then this is the same thing. We done this. If you want to check, for example, if Apple exists in your tuple, this is how you can do it. As you can see, yes, Apple exists. You can update your tuple as well. As you can see, this is apple, banana, and cherry. If you point the type, you can add kiwi, and you can point the same thing. You will clearly see it is being updated. This is here's one thing that I was at the beginning. I show you how I can assign multiple variable together. If you're looking at here, this is green, yellow, red. If you want green to be assigned to apple, yellow banana, red is cherry, that's the way you can do it, especially if you are designing some integration process. You want to populate the variable value. If you have a table control that maintain all your data into one line. So as you can see, that's the way you can do it. What else I would say? What I like now about this one, you're probably seeing this so frequent online. So this assign the rest of the value as a list. For example, if you're looking at apple, banana, cherry, strawberry, and raspberry, if you do not want to assign, for example, if you're looking at this is green, yellow, and red, you can, for example, use that one to assign. If you're looking at this is green, this is yellow, everything else as red will assign from cherry, strawberry, and raspberry. If I point this guy, you guys, I hope you see the thing. If you're looking at for green, we have apple, which is a single value. For banana, we have which is yellow. We have for yellow, we have banana, which is a single value. However, for red, we have an array return. Let's say if you're doing some operations, right, and some of them require an array, and then some of them require just a scalar value. You know, this is how
ridiculous.
you can do it. And then what I would say, it is the same thing here. You can use it the same thing. For example, if you're looking at here, you see this is green, okay, which will be apple. This is tropic, which will be mango. And then this one is gonna be red. If you're looking at everything else, will be tropic. If I execute this, you will see, for example, the first one is apple. And the last one is red. And then everything before that is, what would I say, an array, it return. So that's just the tuple. And then it's 1 hour. For set have a limitation, and I want to show you. If you're looking at on set, we have, for example, apple. So if we're looking at here, it will remove the duplicate. For example, if your data set, the duplicate is something expected, so I would highly suggest you to work with, for example, list instead of set, because set will automatically change your underlying data set because it will not accept duplicate. And then what would I say, if you want to analyze the length as well, you can clearly see we have 3 lengths. And then set accept all kind of data type as well. Let me, if we're looking at here, for the double bracket, we done this maybe both. I'm trying to show you the difference. And then if you want to loop to a set and point the value, if we're looking at here, you can loop to a set. You can, for example, for X in this set, point X. So it's gonna loop. But one thing you have to understand me about Python is that indentation matter, and we're gonna talk about it soon. After set, you can add value to set the same way we done it for lists, and then we can update it as well. Because we don't have time, I have a tons of demo. This is just like basic, because these are the ones that will make you understand Python much easy. That's the same way we can remove it. We can discard this one. Okay, we can pop, we done pop. Let me see. So for dictionary, for example, it look like JSON. This is the format for dictionary. To call the data for dictionary, it will require you to call something. For example, let me explain to you. When you're dealing with dictionary, let me show you this one example. If you look at this, is it within your dictionary, there is an array there, as you can see. If you want to return the model, you will need to use model. If you do not use this element, that keyword will not display. As if I point this, you will clearly see the model is, for example, Mustang. So for dictionary, you won't deal with index, but you're gonna deal with elements, and those elements you will have to mention them. Yep. What else? What would be the core difference? For example, if you wanna update a dictionary, when it comes to list, you can use the index to overwrite the current value within that index. However, for dictionary, you're gonna have to pass that element. As you can see, the I wanna add this one. If I go and point this, you will see that the value is happened to be the color. Now we have color. The first time we didn't have color, and the second time we have color. Right. What else I would say? I think we covered all the basic one, because the four array, the 4 array data type, these are the main thing that I really want to demonstrate for the first part of this. When it comes, for example, to dictionary, again, you can have nested dictionary. I will leave this for you to do some to do the demo yourself, because we only have probably, I would say, 30 minutes left, and I have to go to do stuff that is related to DBA. If or SQL, if we're looking at for Python, the equal is like this. You have to put double equal. Not equal, we use to that in SQL Server. This is the same as SQL Server. Okay, Python have something called indentation, guys. What I mean by indentation, guess what happened? If I put, for example, this one, point 1, okay, you will clearly see 1 comes like that, okay? However, let me, when I go to functions, I think that's gonna be better for me. If we're looking at here, for example, let me put this one here. If we're looking at, I said if B is greater than A, I want to point B is greater, okay? And then if we're looking at, that's going to be a good way for me. If we looking at here, if I say point down, okay? If I say point down, down came out, correct? However, if I say point down like that, it is error out. Indentation matter. So I have seen people spending a tons of times to troubleshoot their code. So it would be best to type 1, 2, 3, 4. So, or you have a very smart editor to do that for you. Otherwise, your code might be good, but it will fail because of an indentation. Okay. And then we can do kind of complex operation like we used to do. We can even do, let me go, for example, if you're looking at A is equal to 2, B is equal to 330, I can say point A in one single line. If A greater than B, else point B. Instead of do it in multiple line, I can do it this way, right? And then let me see. Anyway, I'm gonna share this with you. Let me go this way. When we're looking at the loops, guys, Python has 2 primitive loops. There's while and there's for loop, right? So let me go with while, because we only have probably 20 minutes left. If I want to do some while operation, while I less than 6, I want to point I, and I want I is equal to +1, okay? So if we're looking at here, it starts from 1, and then when I is less than 6, okay, it starts. Great. If I want to make it a little bit complex, and I want to point I only when I is equal to 3, otherwise I want this to continue, but once I is equal to 3, I want to break it. When you're doing conditions, you have to think of double colons, right? So if we're looking at here, so as soon as is equal, for example, to 3, and I break it, and I was able to point everything starting from 1, 2, and 3, okay? And then you can use continue as well, depending on the logic you want to implement. And then also, if you want few, like we have this example, we have seen this example. If you want to loop through a list, as you can see. What else? If you want to check, for example, if X is in banana, you can clearly check that as well. You can, for example, it gives me banana, B, A, and A, and A. That's allow you to put every words in banana. And then what I would say, you can, for example, loop to a list and stop. when you reach to banana. As you can see, for x in field, which is this variable, I want to stop this process whenever x is equal to banana. When I stop this process, you can clearly see it stopped. We didn't get cherry. We can do it a little bit complex. There's range as well. For example, if we're looking at range is something that we use frequently in Python as well. So if you want to have a range of x in range 6 and you want to point it, you can clearly see it start from 0 to 5. Okay, and then you can have range like that as well. If you can clearly see, for example, yeah, it goes all the way to 29. And then what would I say? Okay, that's range. Okay, as a DB or SQL developer, we will normally deal with functions. To create a functions, you have to say my functions, and then double colon, and then point. This is just a functions. You call that functions. If you do this one, this is just a hello word, okay? If you want to create it with a parameter, input parameter, you just put the input parameter. And what I'm doing here now, I am printing the name. I can say, for example, if you're looking at email, Jean, Daniel, you can see email, data-driven community, Jean, Joseph, Daniel. Do you understand? And then if we're looking at here, we can have multiple parameters. We can concatenate them as well. And then we can call that function, as you can see. And if we're looking at this one, in case, for example, this is a great example. If for example, the number of the parameter is unknown, that's the best way you could. Hello? Yeah, can you guys put yourself on mute? If you're looking at here, this is the best way. If you do not know, for example, the number of arguments, that's the best way you're gonna do it. So if you're looking at here, I am passing Jean, Joseph, and Daniel. While I'm passing Jean, the functions, for example, is smart enough to return me the data that I want. I can say the youngest child is Daniel, right? And then if you want to have more, even more than 2 parameters, that's how you can do it. What would I say? If you want to assign the variable name as well, you can put the variable name instead of put the name. Yeah, you can execute it, and then you see his last name is Joseph. And you use this guy, double asterisk, for example, if the number of keyword argument is unknown. Okay, so before the parameter name, you just add the double asterisk. Okay, so you can use recursive, right? This is a little bit, this will take me a bit of time to give you more explanation, and I want to go to function. It's already 53, and there's global and local variables sometimes within your functions. If you're looking at this is S, I love this user group, and this is S within these functions, and what I'm doing here is point the functions. Okay, so what I'm doing, if you're looking at here, this is the one inside the function still say Jean, and then the one that is global still say I love this user group. If you want to update this one, you're gonna have to use global scope. If we're looking at this one, I said I want to update, for example, the global variable. And if you want to update the global variable, you have to use the keyword global. And then if I, for example, display, you will see, even though I pointed outside of the function, I was able to override the global variable with Jean. All the things you can think of is lambda. And remember, array, hey guys, array like list, tuple, dictionary, and set I would highly suggest you to focus on it. And there are also some module like pandas framework module. I would highly suggest you to go and, for example, have a basic understanding. So for us, we're gonna mainly do data manipulation. If we're looking at to import a CSV, you have to import the CSV library, okay? And then you have to open the file, okay, which open, and you can use with. With does not allow you to open it, okay? And with doesn't care if you close it, but if you open the file, with you have to close it. Just bear that in mind. If you open the file, if you use open file, you don't close it, that file still remain into the memory, and that can cause impact on production server. But with the with keyword, it will automatically open and close the file for you as well. And then if you wanna remove the CSV, if you wanna read it, you have to say that CSV reader file, okay? Then you have to extract the file. So if we're looking at here, what would I say? For example, things you have to know, that R will allow you to read an existing file. This will allow you to create a new file. This will allow you to append to an existing file. And then this will allow you to create a new file for reading and writing. So now if we're looking at here, for me to read that file, this is the file, guys, as you can see. For me to read that file, so I'm pushing that, adding that R, which is that, as you can see, I want to read an existing file. This is where the file located. So I'm assigning that variable, okay? So for me to read the file, I'm using file, open, that's the path. I'm reading that file, and I am, for example, go for next CSV reader, and I'm pointing, for example, the row. And here I'm closing the file. As you can see, I was able to read that. And when I'm reading that file, it happened to be into the, it returned me every row as a list, as you can see. This is exactly the data that I have here. So now with it will automatically close the file. I don't need to go with file open. As a best practices, I would highly suggest you to use with open, because you don't need to worry about closing the file. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking if the file exists. To check if the file exists, you will need to import OS. That's the reason why I import OS library, module library, okay? So if we're looking at here with open, this is the path, and I said I want to read that. This is very important, as you can see. All I'm doing, I want to read, and I want new line to return empty, and then CSV, and I alias it as CSV file. What I'm doing here, I'm reading the same file, and I'm giving it the delimiter, and I want to remove the column name, okay? So what I'm doing here, column name is equal to next data, so I'm removing the column name, and I'm first for each data. If I point this, you will clearly see I have the same data here, right? So that data, if I want to read that data, I can read it as well. If I want to read it, but this is for example, this is pandas. If you guys want to get to know pandas a little bit, if you install Anaconda with pandas, it is very few lines. All you have to do is read CSV, you put that file, and then what I like now about this, instead of it return array, it gives you in a Excel format or database table format views, if you will. Yep. So if you want to connect to SQL Server, this is one of the module or library you need to import, which is PowerShell or DBC. So what I'm doing here is that this is the driver. This is I'm using SQL Server 2019 driver 2019, yeah, driver 17 work. I'm using it. That's the server name, which is localhost. That's the database name, data-driven community, and I'm using Windows authentication. And then you have to establish the connection. And then this is the cursor to for me to execute this query to get the data from, for example, SQL Server. This is it. If you're looking at here, let me say like this. If you're looking at here, okay, this is the data. I'm about to reload that file. If I select this, there will be no data. And then we should get 0 data here as well if we execute this one, correct? This is the file. If we're looking at here, okay, I'm getting the data from a different table. So let me come here and select this one. You can see that's the same data you have in here. So this is for Windows authentication. However, on production, you will need to use a configuration for that, import configuration and set up your data. Yep. So if we're looking at here, right, you can clearly see if you do not want to do it this way, you can do everything into a one single line, but this is using SQL Server authentication. Instead of AD, you can pass your username and password. Again, on production, this will be parameterized. And then, yep, if we execute this one, give me one second, we get a couple data. Great. So now, guess what happened? What we're going to do is we have this table. If it does not exist, we will create it. And then we're going to insert this file. This is the data we will insert into that table. And then if I select here, you will clearly see there is no data there, right? So what we are doing here, it is a combination of everything. I'm establishing the connection. This is, I open the connection. And this is the query that will create the table, right? So that's the reason why starting 0 as a beginner is great. This is the how we can have multiple line of code. Okay, so if we're looking at here, and that's the cursor. So I'm executing this script. If the table does not exist, it will create it. And then it's gonna go and check if the file exists, because we don't want our process to fail during the execution time. I'm using open because I don't need to worry about closing the file. And when we're creating a complex code, we may forget to close the file, and that can impact performance. So this is the path. I said I want to read the new line, the same code we just read above. And I said for every single line, I want to, for example, insert that data, and we have to commit it. One thing, if you do not commit the cursor, the data will not be available. And sometimes it will create lock on production, and you got DBA or production application DBA might yell at you. So it's great, for example, if to do, for example, the commit, and I'm closing the cursor, this, right? If we're looking at here, that cursor I'm closing is for SQL Server, because I opened the connection, I have to close it as a best practice. We don't want to leave often connections. And then for to open the file, I did not close it because we've closed it automatically. If I execute this one, it is executed successfully. If I select now, you will see we have the data there. So guys, this is for example, what would I say? I know it's a tons of, for example, demo, and I apologize for that. For the connection, I know what you should think for Windows authentication, it would be that's the way you have to connect. For Sql authentication, that's the way you have to connect. I would love your feedback, guys. It would be great if you can share your feedback. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys, for joining the session. Back to you, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Gene. I do not see any actual chats. Any questions that anyone has?
I know Kermit's been raising his hand throughout those.
Kermit, do you have actually any questions? All right, Kermit has gone offline then.
It seems like I see one hand open.
Yep, that's Kermit.
Oh, that's Kevin. Okay.
All right, but
I actually got a little. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
actually
If
got
you
a
have-
little.
if you have a question, go for it.
So Jean, you mentioned that you would post essentially a paste bin of the demo that you showed us.
Yes.
Where are you going to put it? Are you going to just put it in chat, or?
No, I'm gonna share it with Kevin when the video is ready. And Kevin, do you have a GitHub, or I can post it on my GitHub and share the link with you? You can
Yeah,
share.
if you push it to your GitHub, I can definitely put it out onto the website. No worries.
Yeah, post the GitHub link in the description.
Yes. Well, that'll be in the links, but yes, you'll see it.
Okay. And remind me what your YouTube channel is called again. DBA Fun.
Funtube.com.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
That looks like it.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining, and thank you so much, Kevin, for the opportunity.
Oh,
So-
my pleasure.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll talk to y'all soon.